Patriots demolished the Jets. I mean, shocker, Bill Belichick just like
Was
sacrificed
that Bill
Zach
Belichick?
Wilson.
Was that just Zach Wilson? None of his interceptions were under pressure. There wasn't disguises. It wasn't
No,
anything. It was
yeah,
just him trying to make plays that you do when you're scared, quite frankly. That when you
yeah.
think you need to come back, you take chances that are unnecessary.
No, you're right. I mean, he threw a couple balls that were egregious, like nowhere close, or right into triple coverage. It gets tipped up, and Patriots pick it off. So 4 interceptions for Zach Wilson. You gave a pretty good stat. You sent one over to me earlier. I'll let you pull it up if you want, but I saw this one as well. Rookie QBs in the last 5 years to have a game with 4 interceptions, 4 sacks, and no touchdowns. Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold. So, and you have
Well,
one better
there was one,
here.
yeah, there's one in the last 20 years, I believe, with 4 interceptions, no
Top five
touchdowns,
picks. Top five
top
picks. Yeah.
top 5 picks. So, something the Patriots haven't had to deal with. No, Sam Darnold, Mark Sanchez, and Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
And then I believe who was the fifth? Was it? It was from like 2005. I can't remember who the fourth one was, but
I
it
don't
was
remember either.
basically a Jets QB is the only one set up for this, and we
Yeah.
called out the exorcism of Sam Darnold in Week 1
Hmm.
against the Jets, and Darnold had 4 interceptions in that game. He was seeing ghosts. Like, this is just so quid pro quo that it's been 3 Jets quarterbacks that have had this issue, and
Jets can a jet, man.
Darnold passed it on to frickin' Zach Wilson, and he looked goddamn terrible. I apologies for the language, but what I do appreciate is that he took it on the chin. He's like, the fans should have been booing me. I was awful, right?
I've actually been pleasantly surprised in hearing him talk. He doesn't seem too overwhelmed with the media market, but he looked absolutely overwhelmed in that game. Um, Jets gonna jet. We're just gonna flag that segment. We haven't had an opportunity necessarily to do it quite yet this season, but that was about as bad as it gets, honestly.
And
On
I
no,
mean,
go for
and
it.
I want to say it's bad, but the passes were just so terrible, like to the point where you didn't know who he was throwing to. I mean, I do know who he was throwing to, like on that fourth interception that I called basically punt coverage to Patrick McCourty. I
Yeah,
told you I think that he would have called for a fair catch if he was an actual punt returner because he was so confused as to what happened on that play. He's throwing off his back foot. He's
hmm
unbalanced. This is the Madden syndrome hitting these young quarterbacks, and it's freaking prevalent on everybody except for Mac Jones, quite frankly.
Well, yeah, we can get to Mac. I'll say one last thing about Zach Wilson. He did, per Next Gen Stats, have the highest velocity throw uh, of the season so far. He threw a ball
Was that
almost 60 miles an hour.
was that
I don't know which one it was.
which yeah, which Patriot did he complete that pass to?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, Mac Jones. Um, Mac Jones played well.
Yawn.
Yeah, played well. They obviously did what they needed to do to win this game. I mean, the Patriots ran the piss out of the ball. That's obviously going to be their formula, right? Mac Jones' average depth of target was 4.6 this week. It's 5.7 overall. That puts him really close to the bottom of the league. Um, how many balls beyond 10 yards did he throw in this game? Like I can recall maybe one or two. So
It wasn't much, but I think this is Josh McDaniels holding the offense back, quite frankly. And this was my frustration with Cam Newton last year is the 20 plus yard deep balls was not where Cam was struggling. It was in that interim range from behind the line of scrimmage to 10 to 15 yards upfield that
Mhm,
he couldn't hit. So be
right.
aggressive.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I understand like this particular game plan probably didn't call for being overly
There's no,
aggressive.
yeah, there's no need for it.
Yeah, especially with once the game started and Zach Wilson started giving them the ball. But I mean, it. I still, I haven't been impressed with Mac Jones. Like his stat lines will look good compared to what we've seen from the other rookies so far, but I don't necessarily know if he's like playing leaps and bounds better than them. He's just playing very conservatively,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
he's doing what he's being asked to do, and maybe long term for him, and not just long term years from now, but within the season as well. That's the right thing. And who am I to question Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels? But I just haven't been super impressed with Mac Jones quite yet.
No,
He's
no,
making the layups.
he's doing what he's being asked to, and my struggle with this offense has been that doing what you're asked to is 100% execution, and your error rate is so small. And that's what happened to them last week against the Dolphins. Is we
Yeah,
said we were going to run this game plan. It is going to get us a victory, but Damian Harris fumbles in the last 2 minutes, and all of a sudden it's a loss, right? Like
right.
it is a recipe for success, but it's not explosive. It's not what we see from Justin Fields and why he should ultimately be the quarterback, in my opinion, because that 3rd and 9 that he ran on won the
Hmm.
damn game.
Yeah.
He did some things that could have lost the game in the meantime. I'm not going to lie, but that dynamic ability to secure the victory is why
Hmm.
Justin Fields should be the starter from here on out.
Yeah. So we'll get to that game in 1 second, but to that point about the Patriots offense, yeah, I mean, that's what the NFL is nowadays, right? It's explosive plays. And you see it in the way that defensive coordinators, the good defensive coordinators, are forcing offenses to do things. They're saying, you know what? You want to run the ball? Fucking run the ball. We'll give you a light box. You want to hit 5 yards a run? Go ahead. You want to dink and dunk your way down the field? Go ahead. Because more often than not, if you're going to force somebody to do that to go 80 yards and score, you're either going to have a mistake, whether that's a penalty, whether that's a turnover, or like it's going to take
You
a
have
very
to execute
you have to
perfectly.
be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to
This
be
was
perfect.
exactly my issue with Zach Wilson in the preseason. Was like, if you take Corey Davis away, what happens? And apparently it's 4 interceptions and no touchdowns.